Breaking. On April 5th, 2026, at approximately 6:15 a.m. local time, drones swarmed over Kuwait City. The Kuwait Petroleum Corporation headquarters was struck first, then the government Ministries complex, then 2 power plants, then the desalination facilities. The water stopped, the power failed, the oil exports halted. And as Kuwait burned, Bahrain was hit. Bapco Energy's oil storage, tank farms burning, black smoke over the island nation. The GCC states, America's closest allies in the Middle East, were now direct targets. The protection they paid billions for had failed. The alliance they depended on had collapsed. And 3 million Kuwaitis faced thirst and darkness while the world watched. This was April 5th, 2026, the day America's Gulf security guarantee was exposed as an illusion. Welcome back. What happened between 6:15 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. on April 5th, 2026 is the most important piece of information about American alliance credibility that has been systematically buried under rescue mission heroics and equipment loss statistics. We are going through every verified strike on Kuwait and Bahrain infrastructure, every documented facility destruction, and every civilian impact that has transformed America's Gulf allies from protected partners to exposed targets. Because the question of whether American security guarantee is real or illusion is not a diplomatic nuance. It is the central question of regional stability, alliance credibility, and global oil security. Drop a comment right now if you had not seen full documentation of Kuwait oil headquarters destruction, power plant failures, desalination shutdown, and Bahrain storage fires presented as unified GCC assault. Because that documentation tells us everything about what American protection actually means. Let's start with exactly what happened to Kuwait, because precision matters here and every facility is documented. Kuwait Petroleum Corporation headquarters was struck at 6:15 a.m., the building housing the Ministry of Oil, the administrative center of Kuwait's entire petroleum industry, the symbol of the nation's wealth and sovereignty, drone swarm attack, multiple simultaneous impacts, structural collapse, fire, casualties. The complex was evacuated within minutes. Operations were completely disrupted. The oil export coordination stopped. The ministry function ceased. The Kuwaiti state was decapitated at its economic heart. The government ministries complex was hit at 6:23 a.m., 8 minutes later. Different location, same drone swarm tactics. The civilian administration, the bureaucratic infrastructure, the government offices where Kuwaiti citizens obtained services, permits, documentation, significant property destruction, government functions paralyzed, the state itself was targeted. Not just oil, not just military, the civilian governance. 2 power plants were struck at 6:31 a.m. and 6:47 a.m. Al Zour South and Sabia plants. Generation units severely damaged. Electrical grid compromised. Rolling blackouts began immediately. In desert heat. In April. Temperatures approaching 40 degrees Celsius. The air conditioning failed. Refrigeration stopped. Hospitals ran on emergency generators. The modern Kuwaiti life, built on air conditioning and electricity, began to collapse. The desalination facilities were hit at 7:15 a.m., Doha East and Doha West plants. Water production stopped. Kuwait has no natural freshwater sources. Zero. The entire population depends on desalinated seawater. The taps began to run dry. The bottled water supplies were exhausted within hours. 3 million people faced thirst in the desert without water. The cascade was complete. Oil exports stopped. Power failed. The water stopped. Government functions ceased. Within 2 hours, Kuwait was transformed from a modern, wealthy nation to a humanitarian crisis zone. The infrastructure that took 60 years to build was disabled in 120 minutes. Share this video right now, because the gap between the first drone and desalination shutdown was 2 hours. The gap between the American ally and the exposed target was American failure. Now let's examine what happened to Bahrain, because accuracy is everything on this channel, and this strike reveals Iranian strategic calculation. Bahrain Bapco Energy's oil storage facility was hit at approximately 7:45 a.m. Drone attack. Multiple tanks struck simultaneously. The storage farm covered 2 square kilometers, 36 massive storage tanks, millions of barrels capacity. Fire spread from tank to tank. The inferno was visible across the island nation. Black smoke rose 3,000 meters. The Bahraini sky turned dark. Bahrain is a small island nation, 760 square kilometers, 1.7 million population. 85% of government revenue comes from oil exports. The Bapco facility is the export hub, the revenue source, the economic lifeline. The damage was not just physical infrastructure, it was financial survival, government budget, public services, employment. Everything was threatened. The firefighting was difficult. The tanks are close together. The fire spread rapidly. Secondary explosions occurred. Firefighters withdrew. The facility burned uncontrolled for hours. The export capacity was destroyed. The revenue stopped. The economy began to seize. Bahrain hosts the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters, the Naval Support Activity Bahrain base, 8,000 American personnel. The base was not hit. The protection did not extend 10 kilometers to Bapco facility. The alliance did not prevent economic destruction. The American presence was irrelevant to Bahraini suffering. Hit subscribe right now, because what I am about to tell you next is the part of this story that American military command desperately does not want assembled in one place. The GCC states host massive American military presence. The protection is assumed. The security is guaranteed. The reality of April 5th, 2026 exposed the illusion. Kuwait hosts Camp Arifjan, 10,000 U.S. Army personnel, the largest American ground force in the Middle East. The base is 60 kilometers from Kuwait City. The drones flew over or around it. The air defense did not intercept. The protection did not extend to the capital city, to oil headquarters, to power plants, to desalination. Qatar hosts Al Udeid Air Base, 13,000 American personnel, the largest U.S. air base in the Middle East, the regional command center. The drones that hit Kuwait flew within 100 kilometers. The base radar detected. The base aircraft did not intercept. The protection did not extend to allies. Bahrain hosts Fifth Fleet headquarters, 8,000 American personnel. The naval command for the entire region. The Bapco facility is 15 kilometers from the base perimeter. The drones flew that distance. The base air defense did not engage. The protection did not extend to economic infrastructure, to revenue source, to national survival. The American military presence in the Gulf is massive. 40,000 personnel across bases, hundreds of aircraft, dozens of ships, billions of dollars annually. The purpose is protection of allies, the guarantee of security, the deterrence of attack. The reality is different. The bases protect themselves. The allies are exposed. The deterrence failed. The guarantee was an illusion. The Iranian message was clear. American bases do not protect allies. American presence does not extend security. The American alliance does not prevent destruction. The GCC states are targets regardless of American protection. The protection is selective. The allies are expendable. Drop a comment right now. When you see that 40,000 American troops in the Gulf did not prevent Kuwait and Bahrain destruction, what does that mean to you about alliance value? I genuinely want to know. Here is the human cost behind infrastructure destruction. The numbers are abstract. The suffering is real. Kuwait's population is 3 million, 70% Kuwaiti citizens, 30% expatriate workers. All depend on desalinated water. Production stopped April 5th. The reserves lasted 24 hours. Then the thirst began. The wealthy have private water storage, bottled water stocks. The poor do not. The expatriate workers do not. The laborers from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, they line up for water distribution. The lines are kilometers long. The temperature is 40 degrees. The wait is hours. The water runs out before lines end. The hospitals are on generator power. The surgeries continue. The emergency rooms function. The air conditioning is limited. The heat is unbearable. The patients suffer. The staff suffers. The generators require fuel. The fuel requires delivery. The delivery requires security. The security is compromised. The food refrigeration failed. The supermarkets closed. The supply chain broke. The perishable food spoiled. The population faces hunger as well as thirst. The modern logistics that sustain Kuwaiti life collapsed with electricity. Bahrain's population is 1.7 million. Similar dependency, similar vulnerability. The oil storage fire created toxic smoke. respiratory problems, evacuations. The economic paralysis created unemployment, uncertainty, fear. The GCC civilian populations are hostages to infrastructure war. The water is a weapon. Power is a weapon. Oil is a weapon. The civilian life is collateral. The American protection did not prevent this. The American alliance did not stop this. Stay till the very end, because the final piece of this analysis is the most important context for every person thinking about what GCC destruction means for global oil security. The GCC infrastructure destruction is not just a regional tragedy. It is a global economic catastrophe. The oil market is integrated, the supply is interconnected, the shock is worldwide. Kuwait exports 2.1 million barrels per day. Production stopped April 5th. The export halted. The global supply lost 2.1 million barrels, 2.5% of global consumption. Instantly. Bahrain exports 200,000 barrels per day, small compared to Kuwait. But the Bapco facility damage extends beyond Bahrain. The storage is a regional hub. The refining capacity serves multiple markets. The impact is multiplied. Saudi Arabia is threatened. The 34 bridges Iran, named for targeting, include Saudi-Bahrain Causeway. The Saudi oil infrastructure is next. The 10 million barrels per day Saudi production is at risk. The global economy depends on this supply. The recession is guaranteed if Saudi facilities are hit. The oil price surge to 116 April 4th was preliminary. The Kuwait and Bahrain strikes April 5th will push prices higher, $130, $150 possible. Global inflation is accelerating. The central banks are paralyzed. The economic crisis is deepening. The Japanese cabinet is falling. 49% public discontent. The oil shortage is the cause. The economic pain is a political consequence. Asian manufacturing is slowing. The European industry is contracting. The American consumer is paying $5 per gallon. The global economy is hostage to GCC infrastructure war. Share this video right now, because the gap between GCC destruction and global recession is a direct connection. The oil weapon is effective. The economic leverage is total. The civilian suffering is worldwide. Let's be precise about what Iran achieved April 5th, because the military logic reveals strategic sophistication. The target selection was deliberate. Not American bases, not military facilities, allied civilian infrastructure. The message: American alliance is liability. American protection is an illusion. American presence does not extend security. The timing was coordinated. Kuwait and Bahrain same morning. Simultaneous demonstration, multiple drone swarms, overwhelming air defense. The message: Iranian capability is real. Iranian reach is extensive. Iranian will is unbroken. The method was calculated. Infrastructure, not personnel. Destruction, not death. Economic paralysis, not military defeat. The message: civilian life is leverage. Civilian suffering is a weapon. Civilian pressure will break alliances. The Iranian strategy is alliance destruction, not an American military defeat. American ally abandonment. The GCC states will recalculate, will reconsider American presence, will question protection value, will seek alternative arrangements, will negotiate with Iran directly. The American regional architecture will collapse from within. The strategy is working. The Kuwaiti government is silent on American protection. The Bahraini government is silent on the Fifth Fleet. The populations are angry. The water shortage is blamed on the American war. The alliance is cracking. The protection is exposed. The Iranian victory was political, not military. None of this means the Iranian regime is benign. None of this means its methods are acceptable. None of this means its expansion is legitimate. These are real complexities that honest analysts across the political spectrum acknowledge. But there is a difference between military reality and alliance illusion, between protection promise and delivery failure, between American guarantee and GCC exposure. The April 5th, 2026 strikes expose this difference. The illusion is shattered. The reality is harsh. Now I want to ask you 3 questions I ask at the end of every video, because your answers are part of the historical record of how people responded to this information. Question A: what would you do if you were a Kuwaiti or Bahraini leader right now? Would you demand immediate American withdrawal to reduce Iranian targeting rationale? Or do you believe that despite April 5th destruction, the American alliance is the only option and must be maintained with increased protection demands? Tell me exactly what you would do in the comments. Question B. Who do you trust more on the protection question? American military sources claiming ally security is priority? Or documented April 5th destruction of Kuwait oil, power, water, and Bahrain storage despite massive American base presence? Drop your honest assessment below. Question C. Will you speak out about 3 million Kuwaitis facing thirst and darkness, Bahrain oil storage inferno, American protection illusion exposed, and GCC alliance collapse? Will you be someone who makes sure that betrayal is part of public record and part of international conversation? Or will you let it get buried under rescue mission heroics and equipment loss statistics? Here is where we stand April 5th, 2026, day 9 of war. Kuwait oil stopped, power failed, water ended, the government is paralyzed, Bahrain storage burning, revenue destroyed, economy seizing, American bases intact, allies destroyed, protection exposed as an illusion, alliance cracking, Iranian strategy succeeding, global oil crisis deepening, and the world watches rescue drama while GCC civilization collapses. The 3 million Kuwaitis have names. Those names deserve to be remembered. The thirst deserves to be acknowledged. The darkness deserves to be exposed. If this video gave you a full picture that headlines did not, please share it right now. Every share reaches someone who has been following American military news without knowing what ally destruction looks like. Every share builds awareness of protection illusion. Every share prepares people for alliance collapse consequences. Hit subscribe so you are here when the next major development breaks, when the Kuwait government falls, when Bahrain seeks Iranian talks, when Saudi Arabia is hit, when the global oil crisis becomes a global recession, when American regional architecture collapses. Drop the comment below because your voice in this conversation is the most important thing this channel has. Your questions, your analysis, your memory of April 5th, 2026, GCC destruction. We cover this because it matters. We cover it with verified facts because that is only journalism that serves you. And we will keep asking questions that people in power hope you stop asking. I will see you in the next one.